Hi, I'm Sandra de Cruz Martins and I'm a game artist for Candy Crush Saga.
So talk a little about how you ended up working on this Candy Crush game.
Oh, it's a bit of a long story, but I'll condense it. I was working in the Netherlands and I was looking for new opportunities. I thought let's apply all over the world. And I saw a position open for Candy Crush. And at that time, Candy was about 2 to 3 years old. It was a big phenomenon, as it still is today. And I decided, why not? I probably won't make it, but why not? But after a big test and many interviews and flying back and forth between my home country of the Netherlands and Sweden, where Candy is made, I got accepted. And at first I thought I would definitely burn out after half a year, because to me, such a big title, such a big production. But it turns out that everybody was very relaxed and that we all just plan our work and see how it goes and go with the flow. And that made it so much more fun than I ever thought it could be. And now I've been here for 4 years already.
How big a fan of the game were you before you came on board?
I was a fan of the concept in the first place, but I'm not very good at it.
When it comes to the game itself, can you talk a little about the evolution since you've been here, what you guys have been able to do from an art perspective?
Oh, from an art perspective, we've been through many changes throughout the entire life cycle of the game. It's pretty cool because there's not many casual mobile games that have gone on as long as they did. So what you have to do is really adapt to the times. We started with a dual version on mobile and on canvas, which was in a web browser on the PC. But later on, we needed to focus on so much more new devices, new smartphones, phones coming out, having everything be able to work on tablet as well. So over the years, I would say the look has upgraded because we had to keep up with the technology and also just to kind of keep it fresh for all the competition in the market. So what we've been really trying to do is take our old Candy inspiration, the vibe, the setting, the nostalgia that we always try to refer to with our art, and get that old board game feel by making a new, fresh 3D version.
Can you talk a little about the aspect, going back to the nostalgia of the puppet and the 2D, 3D angle that you guys have?
Yeah. So basically when Candy was first designed, the designs were focused on an old candy shop, which made the artists think about what else about this retro vintage setting could we bring into our game. And that's made people really started to look at the more vintage feelings of those times. So the Art Deco art style, but also things like old board games, getting together, getting these little candies from the jars in the store. So I would definitely say the vintage board game and the retro feel of that time was a big inspiration for the art that it is today. And the way that we translate it to art is that we try to make our game like a pop-up board game almost. So you have a big 3D plane, which is our board, and then you have paper cutout characters popping up.
Do you have a favorite character?
Well, it's hard because there's so many, but I'm a big fan of Otis the Owl.
When it comes to working on this original game, can you talk about how Friends and some of these other titles have allowed you guys to explore these characters in new ways?
Yeah, so what we've noticed at the start with Candy is that the levels are basically the main core of the game. Everybody's always playing levels whenever they can, which is great. But we've noticed that when we were featuring some characters like Otis the Owl that I just mentioned, when we were featuring them a bit more strongly, we got really positive responses from the players. And what happened is that in the consequential Candy games, we keep starting to explore the focus on characters more, like will it be a more enjoyable experience if the characters are there? And at first that was only narrative and decoration and not really necessarily useful. But with Friends we got the opportunity to incorporate the characters as a game mechanic. So you actually have characters next to you on the board and you can use them to make moves to your advantage and make sure, everything with score and speed can be improved because of their help. So that's been really fun, just because the characters were so well received in our earlier games, that means that when we have new ones we can give them even more shine.
Can you talk about the collaboration that happens as you guys launch additional sister games and how team members come back and forth and you work across the board?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's really it. No, it's really because we're big teams of people. We all have knowledge as the years goes on. I mentioned before also that me having been on the game for so long, I have a lot of in-depth knowledge about its history, but maybe other people have more technical knowledge. And if you then meet each other halfway in meetings, in workshops, or if people transfer from one game to the other, you can really use that potential to make an even stronger game. And we think that Candy Friends was the combination of everything we learned from the first 3 Candy games also.
What do you feel continues to differentiate the Candy Crush saga from other games out there?
Well, first of all, it looks awesome now. No, but we it's really that's a tough question, of course, because we're so grateful and overwhelmed still by all the fan love we're getting and how well the game is received. But what I think kept us going as strong as we did is that we really try to listen to the player. So we get their feedback online, via forums, via videos, on social media. And we try to keep making sure that not only do we add new content for the players who are actively asking for it, but also go back and make sure they get an even more polished and balanced experience as the time goes on. So if there's like giant roadblocks that it's not working well, there's bugs, then we are on it. We have teams to fix it. We have teams to put out new tests and see what works well, what doesn't. And I think that whole balancing over the years that we couldn't have done if we were just a new game, I think that made Candy the product that it is today. And we hope to continue like that for a long time.